Welcome back to BAS 120. We're going to cover Chapter 2, Analysis on Spreadsheets. So some of the topics today is we're going to go through some of the very basics of Excel, a little bit about some of the functions within Excel, and a little bit about spreadsheet add-in and modeling. So for a few of you, if you're already well versed in Excel, this chapter should be relatively easy for you when quick. You may want to move on. So first of all, Excel basics. There's what's called an Excel ribbon at the top of your Excel where they have tabs which have, I think of it essentially as a filing system, a home, page layout. And you need, if you're not familiar, you need to become familiar with where things are so you can quickly find them. And then you have buttons, you have font groups, other groups down here, and you have a dialog launcher right there that comes in handy if you want to expand and see everything that's in the font. So you have tabs, groups, buttons, dialog box launchers, all sorts of ways that all the power of Excel has these things is organized. And if you're not familiar, the best way to learn it is by doing it. And there's also some very extensive videos, basic videos that we have available for you on Blackboard. One of the best ones that I've got linked to is Excel Funds videos. Very comprehensive, very good if you're not familiar. So Excel basically has formulas, and there's basic math formulas. Like signs are addition, subtraction. This is the multiplication sign, division, and this is for an exponent sign. And the only note is to make sure you remember back in high school your order of operations. Exponents come first, then multiplication and division from left to right, and then addition and subtraction from left to right. And the only reason you have to keep those in mind is the computer is going to go by order of operations. So if you want to do something different than order of operations, let's say you want 2 plus 3 raised to the second power. You have to, if you want, 5 raised to the second power, you have to put 2 plus 3 in parentheses. Otherwise, it'll raise the 3 to the 2. And keep those in mind with your parentheses as you're writing your formulas. You need to type in an equal sign, tells Excel that there is a formula. The quotes tell it it's text. Then there's a thing called cell reference. Sometimes we want to cell, and these will be more clear as we go through. There's a whole series of examples. But there's called a relative cell that changes as you go down your spreadsheet. And there's an absolute cell which does not change, stays the same. And that's symbolized by a dollar sign up in your formula section. And there's a great shortcut which I show you in the videos where you can do F4. I'm not big on memorizing a lot of shortcuts, but this one for absolute cells, because you use those so often in spreadsheet engineering, the F4 function comes in pretty handy. So there's lots of examples. Go through the examples we've done. If you want more, if you need more help, Excel Fun videos are excellent. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the different functions in addition to the sort of basic math and arithmetic. So you have special functions like net present value that will go through, a whole series of statistical functions that will go through. You can sum, you can average. So there's a whole bunch of special. We'll be using some of the financials. We'll be using extensively the statistical ones. Then there are tools to help you look up and sort. Since we're doing data, we'll use these quite a bit. There's a VLOOKUP where there's an index, there's a match, count. Then there's a whole series of logic functions: if, or, and, COUNTIF, SUMIF. And again, these are going to become very familiar as you do more and more examples. Last, we want to talk a little bit about spreadsheet add-ins and modeling. So with this course, first of all, there's Excel add-ins, which up in the getting started, there's a whole section on how to put these add-ins in. Here's a picture of the add-in template. Then you check and hit OK, and you want the analysis tool pack and the solver add-in, those that I've checked there. Then you have a 140-day contract to Frontline Analytic Solver and Excel Miner, which comes with the course, and you can add those in hopefully the very first day. We won't be using a lot of them until the later chapters, but for those of you that know Excel very well, you may want to start learning Frontline. A little bit about basic spreadsheet engineering. So first of all, I think it's important. The whole power of Excel is it makes changes easy. You can update, you can change, you can do simulations, what ifs. So you want your spreadsheet to be flexible. So we'll talk about, based on these assumptions, here's our outcomes. You want it to be as clear as possible. You want it to be, particularly if someone's going to use it other than you want it to be well documented, because everyone's going to think a little bit differently and design it a little bit differently. You want to do a lot of testing and verifying. It's easy, as I talked about the order of operations, it's easy to make a mistake. You want to make sure you've gone through the verification. There's a whole bunch of examples in the example videos. My other point, people are different. There's several ways to do the same thing in Excel. So, don't get hung up on, the way you copy is you've got to do it this way. There's several ways you can do it. And then, with the verification, perform some checks and some testing to make sure all your formulas are correct. So here are the learning objectives for Chapter 2. I think we've covered them all. The buttons and the menus, formulas, relative and absolute addresses, copying functions, which we go through several examples, some of the basic and advanced functions, and some of the features. So, any questions, let me know.